The scene opens on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, where a young woman is seen running through the woods, desperately trying to save herself from some armed soldiers. While escaping, she comes across a man in a hoodie, Triton. The woman gets scared, thinking that he's one of the assailants. However, Triton removes his hood and introduces himself as an inhuman. He asserts that she is also one of the Inhumans, and that he wants to take her where she belongs. Not a reassuring speech at all. Before they can discuss any further, they hear the soldiers approaching. They try to run away, but the woman gets fatally shot, while Triton sustains a severe injury. Regardless, he somehow manages to reach an edge and jumps into the ocean. The scene then cuts to Attilan, the secret city of the Inhumans on the moon, which is ruled by the king Black Bolt, Queen Medusa, and other members of the Inhuman royal family. Oh, this is a Marvel story. I completely forgot they made this show. The king's power is his supersonic voice. His slightest whisper can unleash untold devastation. As a result, he doesn't talk much. Most of the communication is done by his wife, whose superpower lays in her strong hair. On the moon's surface, a rover sent by humans is seen analyzing the surroundings when it suddenly stumbles upon Attilan's invisible wall before going static. The operators on Earth are perplexed to witness this, as they're unable to comprehend what just happened. Back in Attilan, the Inhuman royal family gather for a Pterogenesis ceremony. Before the process begins, a hoof-legged royal guard, Gorgon, shows up with the Earth's rover. All the other royal members express their concern about the humans discovering their hidden city. Black Bolt's brother, Maximus, even suggests that they attack the Earth and capture it, claiming that it's their real home. However, Black Bolt doesn't want war, so he calms everyone down. Following this, the family members begin the ceremony, where two young Inhuman citizens, Iridia and Bronaja, are exposed to Pterogen mist to reveal their abilities. Upon undergoing the procedure, Iridia receives the ability of flight, while Bronaja doesn't find any change in him. As a result, he believes that he doesn't have any abilities. Maximus goes to console him and pats his shoulder. But as soon as he touches him, Bronaja has a vision of Maximus pinned against a wall with snakes attacking him. The boy confides his vision in Maximus, who simply says that they'll discuss it later. Later, at Lower Castle living quarters, all the Inhuman citizens gather to know Iridia and Bronaja's new powers. While there's applause for Iridia's powers, disappointment fills the air as Bronaja shows no signs of change. They demand that he go to the underground mines where all powerless Inhumans reside. Just then, Maximus addresses the people and tells them about Earth. According to him, if they capture Earth, they can all live a peaceful life, free from this caste-based society. Maximus then receives an alert in his comlink bracelet, so he heads straight to the palace. He interrupts the ongoing dinner and reveals about Triton's death. To prove this, Maximus has an Inhuman project the entire incident via his eyes. At this point, Black Bolt explains that he sent Triton to Earth to help find humans who had undergone Pterogenesis in the past. Hearing this, Maximus again suggests that they all go to Earth instead of bringing the remaining people back to the moon. However, Black Bolt asks him to trust him and let him do his job. Later, Gorgon travels to Earth to find Triton, while Black Bolt enters his private room to take some time alone to think. In the meantime, Maximus approaches Medusa and questions her loyalty to the king. He further tells her that she would have been happier if she had chosen him instead of Black Bolt. When he starts touching her, the infuriated Medusa attacks him with her prehensile hair, warning him against doing such inappropriate behavior. Maximus realizes this confrontation is the same vision that Bronaja saw earlier. The next day, he has his security guard, Alrun, summon the head of the Genetic Council, Kitang, for a private conversation. During this, Maximus reveals his plan to attack Earth, as well as to stage a coup to remove Black Bolt and Medusa from the throne. Hearing his sinister plan, Kitang decides to get him arrested, but before that, Maximus has Alrun kill him. He then manipulates the royal guards to incline towards him and orders them to attack all the royal members one after another. The guards firstly attack the royal advisor, Karnak, and shoot him to death. But surprisingly, he has a special power to travel back in time and change the incidents, which enables him to overpower the guards. What the hell was Maximus thinking? Karnak then alerts Gorgon and Crystal about Maximus's planned coup. Sensing the imminent danger, Crystal has her teleporting dog Lockjaw transfer Karnak to safety on Earth. In the interim, she rushes to rescue other royal members, but By the time she reaches the queen, it is already too late because Maximus has cut off her long hair, rendering her powerless. Fearing that she may get killed, Crystal transfers her to Earth as well. Meanwhile, Maximus breaks into Black Bolt's private room and tells him that he isn't worthy to be the king. Upon learning about his brother's sinister motive, Black Bolt is about to voice up, but Lockjaw shows up at the same time and teleports him to Earth. Unfortunately, Crystal herself gets caught in the process. Maximus seizes the opportunity to declare the royal family as traitors, further plunging Attilan into chaos. On the other hand, the royal family members find themselves scattered across various locations on Earth. Medusa lands at Diamond Head Crater, Karnak at Haloa Ridge, Gorgon at a shoreline, while Black Bolt and Lockjaw are in the middle of the downtown street. Despite the honking of vehicles urging them to move, Black Bolt remains bewildered, inadvertently causing a traffic accident. In the chaos, Lockjaw teleports back to Attilan, while Black Bolt walks away before the police arrive. Sometime later, Medusa manages to contact her husband using her comlink and asks about his well-being. Black Bolt responds by placing his bracelet to his heart and lets her know that he's alright. He then raises the device to let her hear the cars and traffic next to him. Realizing that he's in the city, Medusa boards a tourist bus, making her way towards her husband. Karnak also uses his probability powers to determine the best direction to head in search of his king. While climbing down the ridge, he accidentally falls and injures his head. Despite this setback, he continues on his journey. Back in Attilan, Crystal is captured in a large room where Maximus and his guards question her about the others' whereabouts. Amidst this, Lockjaw shows up to rescue her, only to be knocked unconscious by the guards. Afterwards, Maximus reveals his motive to take over the throne as the new king. He proposes to her with two choices: join his force or face lifelong imprisonment. Crystal responds that she'll never work for him, and so she is locked up in her own apartment. Elsewhere, Gorgon continues to search for Triton in the sea, but he's knocked over by strong waves. Just when it seems he's about to drown, he's rescued by some surfers. They bring him back to the shore and notice his hoof, which makes them realize that he's inhuman. Gorgon then shares his situation with them, and they suggest that he reveal his location and divert Maximus's attention towards him. Heeding to their advice, Gorgon contacts Maximus and challenges him to a fight. Meanwhile, at the Callisto Aerospace Control Center in California, a flight director, Louise, investigates the missing rover. She eventually learns of 4 strange occurrences coming from the same area of the moon where the rover went missing. She tracks these to locations around Hawaii and decides to head there for further investigation. In Attilan, Oron enters Crystal's apartment to provide her some food, but the latter responds with her inbuilt handgun. Oron then says that Crystal will eventually have to comply and accept Maximus as the new ruler. Before she leaves, she drops her comlink, which Crystal hurriedly picks up. She later uses it to contact Medusa, and they share their predicaments. Medusa believes that Oron is not an idiot, and she deliberately dropped her comlink band to trace the call. She then destroys her comlink after assuring Crystal that they'll come back for her rescue. Unfortunately, their conversation time is enough for Oron to track Medusa, so she promptly travels to Earth to find her. On the other hand, Black Bolt enters a clothing store to make himself appear bussin'. However, he doesn't know that he has to pay for it. So when he walks away quietly, the shopkeeper calls the police, accusing him as a shoplifter. Consequently, he's chased and soon surrounded by the police. They order him to surrender, but he doesn't understand what's going on. Thinking that he's resisting, the officers taser him, causing him to let out a light whisper. His small sonic sound is so powerful that it hurls a police car away. As the situation escalates, Black Bolt is subdued by a group of police, who then take him to the station. Once there, Black Bolt uses sign language to express his coordination with them, after which he's sent to prison. On the moon, Maximus summons Bronaha and uses his power to know the future. Upon learning that the genetic council members are planning to kill him, Maximus threatens them into joining his force, or else he'll kill them all. Later that night, he addresses the residents of Attilan as their new king and promises to take everyone to Earth in order to live a happy life. Back on Earth, Oron tracks Medusa's comlink and finds the device discarded inside the bus. As soon as she steps out of the bus, Medusa launches an attack from behind, ensuing a brawl between the two. Medusa is clearly weaker without her hair, but she somehow manages to retrieve a knife and stab her fatally before leaving. Sometime later, Oron is revived by her healing ability, and she contacts contacts Maximus to request for backup. In response, Maximus decides to send down some assailants, including a long-time imprisoned and deadly inhuman, Mortis. In the next scene, we are introduced to a geneticist, Dr. Evan Declan, whose coworker shows him the video footage of Black Bolt's arrest. Evan immediately recognizes him as an inhuman and decides to head to the prison right away. On the way, he contacts a prisoner, Sammy, and offers to get him out of the prison under a condition. He has to befriend Black Bolt. In the meantime, Medusa is walking on the city streets when she notices a person withdrawing money from an ATM machine. Unaware of how this works, she stands in front of the machine and orders it to release some money, but to no avail. She then sneaks into a house from where she grabs some food and clothes. She has very quickly figured out what it means to be broke. Just as she prepares to leave, she notices a newspaper with the headline stating how Black Bolt got arrested. Now, she knows where she should head to. Elsewhere, Gorgon and his surfer buddies, who happen to be ex-military, pick up some assault rifles and prepare to face Maximus's troops. They lead Gorgon to a secret place in the forest where they strategize on how to confront the enemies. Now that Mortis and some other assailants have descended upon Earth, Orin takes them towards Gorgon's location. They soon arrive at their destination, where they're attacked by Gorgon and his soldier buds. Following this, a fierce fight ensues between the two parties. While engaging in a duel with Orin, Gorgon notices Mortis, who unleashes a fiery blast from his eyes. Realizing that they're about to lose the battle, Gorgon decides to retreat and instructs his team members to run away. Simultaneously, Karnak is traversing through the woods when he comes across a drug dealer, Reno, and his two gang members, Ted and Jen. Assuming Karnak is a threat to their operations, they immediately restrain him. While being held, he tries to use his power to calculate his way out, but his efforts prove futile. This makes him believe that his power is no longer useful, probably due to his head injury. Karnak then tries to convince the gang that he's harmless, but Jen is the only one who believes him. Later on, she talks to her friends, and they eventually agree to free Karnak as long as he doesn't try to escape. In Attilan's palace, Maximus pays another visit to Crystal, and this time he finally manages to convince her to support him. After this, she walks in front of the Genetic Council and proceeds to give a pre-written speech in his favor. But in an unexpected turn of events, she opposes Maximus as king and freezes the guards' weapons before running towards Lockjaw. She utilizes her power to awaken her sedated dog, who then teleports her to Earth. Unfortunately, her actions have severe consequences, as Maximus manages to convince the Genetic Council that the royal family is not fit to rule the place. Meanwhile, in the prison, Sammy tries to do what he's instructed. He tells Black Bolt that he wants to help him, asserting that he knows his real identity. The warden notices Sammy being nice to Black Bolt, so he sends them into the yard, forbidding them to converse. When the duo resists, the officers proceed to beat them. However, the other inmates come to their support, soon inciting a riot. Sammy and Black Bolt take advantage of the commotion and make their way out. During this, Sammy reveals himself to be one of the Inhumans with heat power. Thus, he uses his power to facilitate their escape by melting down the prison gate. Once outside, they see Evan waiting for them in his helicopter, so they quickly board it. At the same time, Medusa arrives on the scene, but she fails to grab her husband's attention. Luis, who is also there, approaches Medusa to ask what's going on. However, Medusa doesn't have enough time to answer her queries. She instead holds Luis at gunpoint and forces her to pursue the helicopter. While on the flight, Evan introduces himself and tells them about how he has been studying Inhumans. "You guys are weird. I love it." He further expresses his wish to conduct a quick experiment on them, for which he asks them to accompany him to his secret lab. He also requests for Black Bolt's DNA, but the latter refuses until the doctor helps him find his wife. Unbeknownst to him, Medusa and Louise are following them in a car. During the chase, they break the speed limit and also run a red light, grabbing the police's attention again. In an attempt to evade capture, Medusa shoots towards the pursuing police vehicle. However, this distraction causes them to lose sight of the helicopter, thwarting Medusa's effort. Luis then strikes up a conversation and soon learns that Medusa is an Inhuman who lives on the moon. And she takes this news perfectly in stride. Upon learning her predicament, Louise decides to help her. The two then check into a motel, where Louise starts working on her laptop to locate the helicopter. But before they can divulge any information, the police track them down. As a result, they hurriedly flee the scene and head to a beach restaurant where they continue working. Upon arriving at the lab, Evan conducts a brief test and learns about Black Bolt's special genes and superpowers. He then walks out to secretly contact Maximus to inform him about Black Bolt's whereabouts. Here, it's revealed that the doctor has been working for him. Maximus orders him to kill Black Bolt, but Evan emphasizes the need to keep him alive in order to conduct conduct further tests. Inside, Black Bolt notices one of the lab workers preparing an injection, raising his suspicion. He then secretly checks the injection, only to learn that it's poison. Sensing the imminent threat, Black Bolt and Sammy decide to flee the place. Back in Attilan, Maximus gathers all the genetic council members and shares his plan to undergo Terrigenesis again. The leader of the council, Tybor, warns that the repetition of the procedure might be fatal, but Maximus doesn't seem to care. He asks Tybor if he is loyal, to which the latter affirms. Following this, he takes him for a walk, while he has his guards execute the rest of the council members. Meanwhile, in the woods, Karnak uses his power to teach Jen how to cut and harvest marijuana in an efficient way. As their conversation unfolds, they start enjoying each other's company, quickly developing a bond. Sometime later, Jen leads Karnak to a beautiful beach, and they go for a swim together. While playing in the water, she kisses him, leaving him perplexed. Reno secretly watches this from a distance, which fills him with jealousy and rage. Luis and Medusa are finally able to pinpoint Black Bolt's location, and they rush towards it. Simultaneously, Black Bolt and Sammy exit the lab, but they're confronted by Orin and her gang. Black Bolt is shocked to see Mortis, who challenges him to a fight. But before the two can begin, Medusa and Luis show up and knock off the assailant with their car. As a consequence, Mortis accidentally releases a fiery laser beam that causes a huge explosion, rendering all the gang members unconscious. After this, Black Bolt and Medusa finally reunite, and they leave the scene with Luis before Mortis wakes up. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.